To use ChatGPT, you have to know how to prompt it. It's kind of like giving instructions to a baby intern. It's like telling your dog what to do. You can't just expect that it's going to know what to create until you've shaped the command. So that's really where prompts come in. Now you'll hear all sorts of fancy things about prompt engineering and like creating the best prompt. Ultimately, it comes down to a certain kind of few elements. Number one, what should it do? Number two, how should it do it? Number three, why should it do it? And number four, who should it do it for? So really it kind of goes back to like some of those journalistic things of like the 4 W's and 1 how. I don't know. I don't remember what it was called. Years ago in elementary school we learned that. But essentially we want to figure out, or we want to tell ChatGPT so it can figure out what the purpose of this is. If you just tell ChatGPT, write a blog post about golden retrievers, we're going to get something super random. We're probably not going to like it. So, I mean, I think that's kind of a cute header, to be honest with you. The gold standard of companionship. My golden retriever is snoring at my feet right now. So, but here we go. We're getting something pretty general, more historical, more of an overview of golden retrievers. If what I had wanted was a blog post about golden retrievers, about like, can they swim? Or how to prevent them from getting ear infections when they won't get out of the frickin' lake, which is currently my issue with my dog. So you need to then tell it that. The more specific you are with the prompt, the better it's gonna do. And basically, if you don't like the output that you're being given, it's kind of on you, to be honest with you. People don't like it when I say that, but it's true because it only knows as much as you give it. Yes, it has some background information, like here where it has like Air Bud that it's referencing as a doggy movie star. I don't know if I would call Comet from Full House a famous golden. I guess maybe slightly before my time. I watched that a few years ago for the first time. But you can see pretty short, not SEO optimized, doesn't do it for me. And so because of that, we need to give it a better prompt. If I said, write a blog post about golden retrievers, what did I say before? Can golden retrievers swim? The post should have an introduction, H2 headers for the body of the text, and a conclusion. You can already see that I'm giving it some extra information. Now it did that naturally, but we're gonna provide even more. The post is for golden retriever owners who have 1 to 2 goldens and want to know if these are good dogs to swim with. It's kind of confusing. I don't know, whatever. I don't have to be perfect. This is an example, Nina. Clearly I'm a perfectionist. But now we know who we're writing it for. Now, why are we writing it? We want to tell it, like, what is the point of this? What is the outcome? Our answer is yes. Goldens are great swimmers and the breed is meant to retrieve waterfowl. My dog loves to swim. You'll often see my golden fetching balls in the lake. So now I've also added personal experience. Gonna be even better now. So now we know what's happening, why, how. We've given a lot here. So we really want it to understand what it's doing, why it's doing it, how it's doing it, which would be kind of I didn't give a ton there, to be honest, but I could have gone into way more detail of what constitutes a good blog post, given it examples, defined my style, fed it, like there's so many things we can do that we're gonna get into later on. This is an example of the difference we're gonna get here. So I'm actually gonna show you just the difference of telling it to write a post about golden retrievers that can swim, and then we're gonna add in the extra prompts so you can really see the difference. So it's gonna give you something that's passable. It'll be fine. It's not likely to be the best thing in the world. Could you publish it? In theory, yes. And I know people that do. Personally, I wouldn't unless I've added and amended things significantly. Also, because this is gonna be a very, very short post. So you can see above too, like this one is, how long is it? I'm not very good at judging, just on a glance. It's 589 words. That is far too short for a blog post. I would never publish a blog post, shorter than at least 2,000 words. If it's like maybe something super quick and like a very, 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 very specific thing, in some niches you can get away with 1,000 words. Personally, I still wouldn't do it. I think it's just not enough time really for you to do more. So I think this is a good basis. Like, it's definitely given us helpful information. But let's go in and change the prompt. So just to remind everybody, we've got really short intro. I will say I'm not a fan of AI written intros. I really like to do it myself or give a very extensive prompt. We have a historical link to water, how they're built for it, how to introduce your dog to water. Didn't work for my dog until we threw a driftwood that he wanted, and then he just belly flopped in and was like, cool, okay, I guess you swim now. Talks about the benefits, safety, conclusion. I think it touches on good points. I think it's the quality of it that is the problem. So let's rerun it with our new instructions. It loves like a pithy headline. I really like it. So it's going to take a minute to run. But here I already see it's getting a little bit more casual in the language. The other one felt a little bit more like, kind of like an essay, I guess, or like a Wikipedia to some extent. So we're still getting a lot of the same notes on it, which I think is good. They were helpful notes, but we need to actually see that it's done before I can fully comment. One thing I will say is that it says if you're a proud owner of one or two of these charismatic canines, so it's like already referring to things that I've mentioned. Here, personal experience, just to paint a picture, my own golden retriever absolutely adores swimming. It's true, he loves fetching balls in the lake and would literally do it till he threw up if he could. He is obsessed. So you can see it's a different post now. Now, not massively different here for sure, because most of this it was already doing. The more specific you get, the better the output is going to be. If I just told, like, I don't know, 10 different third graders to write an essay on, third grade is young, I guess like 8th grade, to write an essay on Romeo and Juliet, they're going to do their own thing. If I tell them specifically what to do, like, okay, write about the relationship between, oh, it's been so long since I read that book, between like the nurse or whatever and Juliet, and how she stands in as a mother figure, I don't know. They're going to get way more specific. Now, if I've also already trained them on how to write a quality essay, it's going to be way better than if I just like day one go write an essay and they've never written one before. They can Google it and come up with some ideas of how you might write an essay, but they don't know how I want them to. So that's where like the training comes in that we're going to give ChatGPT, and that's why prompts really matter. So when you are writing prompts for ChatGPT, yes, you can just say, write 10 headlines for a post about can golden retrievers swim. But you definitely want to give more context. I always want to know, and this is something for your own writing as well, who are we talking to? What is the goal of this? How are we presenting it to them? And yeah, like what's happening? What are we even doing here? Sort of a thing. These are kind of the same things that you would probably put on a brief for a beginner intern or for a beginner writer who maybe doesn't know your site that well. It's all that kind of guidance that we are giving. Now, if you have GPT-4 and you're able to add those specialized instructions, then some of this context we can already have given in that other area. But I mean, maybe I don't talk about my golden retriever's obsession with swimming in there. Maybe I don't reference a specific instance of how he learned to swim. And I would give that context in the prompt. So what most people do is they just write one sentence and then they're mad that it's not good enough. Other people get upset, and everyone's just upset about AI, and I get it. I mean, be upset if you want to be and then move on from it. Just use it properly and then keep going. But having a long prompt can sometimes seem like, oh, well then I could have just written the piece. Yeah, you probably could have, but you're just feeding it facts and figures. You're not feeding it, you don't have to be creative with it. And the better you get at this, the more you're going to be able to template these things. So you'll be able to use the same kind of base and then who it's for is likely going to always be the same per site. And then your answer, the specific keyword you're going for, and personal experience, you're just going to drop in. So pretty easy to do, does not take long to add those little details for yourself, and then ChatGPT is going to run. So we're going to learn more about how to actually write a quality blog post. It's not 500 words with it, but you can already see the difference that happens when we just give it different prompts. So be prepared to experiment with this a little bit. You will have to test out what works best for you, giving it a tone of voice, giving it different instructions, speaking to it to ask what could I have done to make this clearer, what prompt would result in this kind of a blog post, and give it an example. That's how I started learning, is just playing with it. And the great thing is that on the free plan, it's very hard to ever hit limits with it beyond asking it to do 8 things at the same time. So you're going to be able to do a lot more with it and just play around with it and not have to worry about, I don't know, running out of words or something. Even on the paid plan, you get 50 queries every 3 hours. You'd have to just sit here and ask, I would think it would take you 2.5 to hit that, to be honest, with it producing decently long outputs. If it's giving you 1 sentence outputs, then yes, you could get through that pretty quickly. But I don't think anything that you would do that for, just use the free one. But this is going to be an experiment for you to some extent to get used to the way that prompting works best for you. You can ask questions, you can just type it out like this. I usually say please and thank you because I don't know, I guess I'm worried about the machines rising up or something. Also, I'm very Canadian, so even if I get something wrong and mislead it, I will say, sorry, I actually meant this, and it'll redo it. So don't be afraid as well of working with ChatGPT. I think that's really the best way prompts work, is give it the most informative prompt you can to start with, and then work with it to customize it. It's like having a writing buddy, not someone that you're pawning this off on and then you just want to press publish and it's good to go. If you want that, you're going to get lower quality results. It's what happens with one-click AI writers, and at time of recording, none of them are up to snuff for me. So this is something that I think works a lot better, where you can customize it. So now you know how to prompt ChatGPT. You can literally ask it to do anything. You can come up with meal plans, playlists. You can make up random names. You can tell a story. You can just some people are using it as a therapist. I wouldn't personally use it for medical stuff. They even say it could be misleading. But if you just need someone to talk to and you're lonely, it works a treat, I'm sure. I use it for work. That's kind of my focus with it, or random coding hyperfixations when I like to pretend I can code, which I'm not great at. So this is essentially how you would build your prompt. You can also put different lines in. So if you want to have write 5 titles for this post, if you hit shift and then enter, then you can have the spaces between them, if that helps you to be a bit more organized, especially with a templated prompt. If you're going to be reusing it, it does make sense to have it pretty clearly divided as to the different sections of your prompt, so you're not having to hunt through it to find things. You'll notice in the prompt library as well, there are brackets around things that you should adjust or add your own spin on. So for that purpose, I do space things out that way, because otherwise I'm liable to miss it. Now that you know how to prompt, your homework is play around with a few. Just start experimenting. There's no wrong answer. I mean, even with the paid plan, you can use so much of it that even if for a month you quote unquote wasted your whole plan and time doing this, it's a learning experience. That's why whenever I get something new, I'm that kid that has to read the full instructions and then figure out every use case of the thing before I can start playing fully with it. I was a very boring kid, I think, to some extent because of it. But so that's what I did, is I just started playing around with prompts and seeing what it could do, how it could do it. It's gotten so much better over time. At first I hated ChatGPT, and people will remember me publicly saying this thing is not very good. It's gotten a lot better. So I'm very glad that they keep training it. And so prompts you will get better at as you go. Definitely feeding it something that is too short will be a problem. Other ways you can even customize this is asking it to act as something. So act as an expert blog writer, act as a marketer, act as, I don't know, a professional dog trainer or something. If you can like give it context of what it's going to need to do, it can be helpful. I don't always find that like it makes the most massive difference with a blog post, because that is kind of what it's like. It's meant to be a writer, so it knows how to write. If you're asking it to do something a little bit different, then it kind of needs to like access that part of its brain to some extent. So I hope this helps you feel more confident with your prompting and that you have so much fun playing with it, because it's really fun to do.